I mean, just a couple days that we've been here, we've witnessed it.
What's happened since you've been here?
He was on the phone with his adoptive parents and he was getting loud. And he told them that if he can't afford where he lives, then he's moving in with us. And I said, no, you're not. And he says, yes, I am. Mom already said I can. And I got upset, so I left the room. She went to grab the phone and he ripped it out of her hand and grabbed her hair and ended up hurting her. And instead of blaming him, she blamed me for leaving.
Okay. What do you think about that, John?
I felt like it was the wrong thing to do. I mean, I felt like it was the worst thing I could ever done to her. I felt like it was just like in a split second, I just reacted in that split second. It was like the wrong way.
The one thing you've said is that you lost John once and that you don't want to do that again. And I said to you that I didn't think that you could sabotage this relationship anymore if you tried. You're well-intended, but you're going to have to make some changes, and you're going to have to make some changes, or this isn't going to work. Dan and Lori say they want their marriage and family to get back to where it once was, but how can that happen? Well, I have some ideas about that include John, and everybody can be comfortable with it. We'll be right back.
Tomorrow.
Chris Watts murdered his children and wife in cold blood.
Chris Watts' shocking admission to investigators.
What he reveals in his 5-hour confession.
Exclusively on Dr. Phil. Tomorrow.
Giving up a child for adoption is the hardest thing I've ever done. I lived with so much guilt.
Lori struggles with everything that she had missed. Birthdays, holidays, milestones.
My mom needs to understand that giving up for adoption was probably the best thing she could have done. I don't hold a grudge against it. I feel like it was the most thoughtful thing she could ever do.
Lori definitely lets him get away with a lot of bad behavior.
I mean, he gets away with hurting me.
She's over it in an hour later, and they're right back to normal.
That is true.
Lori needs to deal with these guilt issues before she loses her daughters and grandchildren and me. She may lose all of us if things don't change quickly.
It's apparent to me that you're very intelligent here. I said there are some other challenges. You have been diagnosed as being on the spectrum, autism spectrum, and with what in the past has been referred to as Asperger's.
Correct.
That's a bit of a dated term, but we'll use it because that's how you were originally diagnosed. And when we talk about the autism spectrum disorder, I want to go into that in a minute, but you've had that diagnosis for a good while, correct?
Since age of 4, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm going to ask you the things that you're experiencing now with John in terms of aggression and getting violent at times, and that didn't just start in the last 2 years, right? You've had problems before.
It's been since age of 4. It's been the same ever since. It's been the same.
Right. And have you ever aggressed against your adoptive mother?
Yes.
It just kind of comes on you and you have trouble modulating it. Now, I'm not a big one for medication, but I know that it can be very helpful in this particular circumstance. And you were on medication for a good while, but you've stopped taking it in the recent past, correct?
Correct.
And have you encouraged him to not take the medication?
Sometimes.
You don't really have any training in neurology or autism, correct?
No.
And I'm saying that to point out the fact that there are protocols to really manage and modulate this appropriately.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you're not well versed in
No,
those.
but we made sure the psychiatrist took him off the meds. I didn't do it.
Well, I would like the name of the psychiatrist that said, do not take any medications if you're on the autism spectrum with this. If you had someone that said, no medication, you're fine, I want the name of that person. Can you give that to me?
No, she didn't tell him to not take any meds. She took him off like 4 different ones.
Okay, so she took him off some.
Her thing was, John, I can prescribe them to you. If you want to take them, it'll help you. If you want to take them, if you don't want to take them, that's on you.
So she said, if you take these, it will